Have you ever punched anybody in the face, Duncan?
Yeah, are you asking if I have a brother?
Quite frankly, it's kind of unusual.
It's quite Franklin.
Got it. Quite Franklin.
Dude, you got the same pink lighting.
It's very important to have a nice chartreuse if you're going to podcast. It's the best color for podcasting.
Well, you can see my background, can you not?
You got climbing rope, huh?
I do.
Nice.
I do have some climbing rope. I haven't climbed in a minute though. Are you a climber?
No, I'm not. But the house that we bought here in Austin has a climbing gym in it that my kids love.
There's a climbing gym in your house.
Yeah.
That is so sick, man.
How big is your house?
Yeah, right?
It's not as big as that sounds. That makes it sound way bigger than it is. But you really don't need much for a climbing gym, actually. You don't need much. It's just a room that's got the climbing rocks on it and stuff. But it's a monkey house for my children.
Okay. I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and you were on the CIA's website tooling around.
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why it caught my eye. Have you read this book, bro?
Not yet. I'm waiting. You know what? Here's the thing. I know I'm going to love it, but you read a book like that, and that's like a month of shadows, isn't it? You're like going to be.
It's actually okay. So the book's called, if you couldn't see it, it's called Chaos: Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 1960s. This is not a conspiracy theory book. So, man, I'm telling you, Tom O'Neill, the author of this book, does such a good job. He's an investigative journalist, and this thing is so detailed. It's so detailed, Duncan, that you get caught up in all the details. Like, you have trouble remembering things. Like, so as I was reading the book, it starts off and it starts telling the story about the Charles Manson, the murders on Cielo Drive with the Tate LaBianca murders that night. And as I'm reading the book, I'm like, man, I didn't realize how much about this I didn't know. But he goes through the court case and how the prosecuting attorney had developed the helter-skelter motive, the whole genocidal. He was bringing on a genocidal race genocide and wars, and as he started to uncover things, like everything from there were times where like Manson and his followers, like even Susan Atkins, the one that had confessed to stabbing Shannon Tate, they'd been arrested and put in these were people that were on parole and they'd been arrested, released without paperwork. Like, he's got all the documentation for this. It's all documented. Right. It's documented history. And basically they were, a big part of this. I haven't finished the book yet. I still have maybe like, I don't know, 60 pages or something. But when you're reading a book that thick, like 60 pages is just a little, but, they were going to a free clinic up in San Francisco, and he ends up making the connections between the doctor running the clinic and his correspondence with a CIA specialist, and how the CIA was funneling funds into projects like, they had the MK Ultra project going, they had Project Bluebird going, and there were several other mind control projects that were going. And he documents, he's got documentation of all this stuff, and pretty much makes the connection. It's like, so, without a hard connection, like all this evidence is there. And it's like, so then you start thinking like, man, these people were going into this free clinic, and they were experimenting on, all the people that were going in the clinic, not just necessarily, there's no direct documentation of Manson and any of his followers being tested on, but the clinic was testing people. Manson and his followers were going into this clinic on a repeated basis. Like, Summer of Love and all these hippies were going into this clinic at the time in San Francisco, and they were testing combinations of LSD, amphetamines, and speed. And the whole point of MK Ultra was to try to see if they could either erase real memories, implant fake memories, and get people to do things on command that they wouldn't necessarily be willing to do. Yeah. When you start thinking about it, it's like this whole group of people that went up to the that night, and then the following week when they murdered the other group of people, like, all these people were like, they were like high school band members and drama club members and people that had zero history of violence. And then they go in and they just violently murder these people. Like Shannon Tate was stabbed 28 times, like without any kind of, and then they just told the story without any kind of remorse. And so the whole idea is like, how do you turn somebody with no history of violence into that kind of thing? And
a murderer.
Yeah. And
how much does that suck? You go into a free clinic. It's the summer of love. You've been fucking everybody. Everybody's fucking everybody. It's free love. Nobody knows anything about anything. Acids everywhere. You go in, you've got a little chlamydia or whatever. You're going to get it treated.
Just a little chlamydia.
You come to and you're stabbing Sharon fucking Tate. You're like, what happened to me? What am I doing?
As you're doing it.
To me, what is spectacularly creepy is the idea that a government agency studied whether or not they could erase and replace memories.
Yeah.
That is the most nefarious shit of all time. We're defined by our memories. Like, have you ever heard of Thursdayism, Rich? You ever heard of that?
Thursdayism,
you know what that
no.
Is? It's this weird.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Okay, Thursdayism is the idea that the universe started last Thursday. That everybody says that the Big Bang happened 13.7 billion years ago or whatever, and everything expands, cools down, coagulates, forms planets, organic life forms on the planet, single-cell organisms. You know the whole dumb story.
Dude,
but
hold on, I got to stop you though, because it couldn't have happened last Thursday because you posted something on Instagram like 3 weeks ago.
It's a good point you're making, but the idea is the universe is so powerful that it created everything as it is right now last Thursday, including all the memories that you might have of what happened before last Thursday. Really nothing happened before last Thursday, except the memories in your head were just something that the universe decided to put in there. Everything started last Thursday. So this is when we start fucking with people's memories. It's kind of the same thing. Like if I had some weapon, some ability to like sedate you, or take all your memories out, replace them with brand new memories, put you in a little Truman Show style compound somewhere where the fact that you're in a Truman Show style compound makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't know anything happened. You're just like, yeah, this is just my life. You wouldn't know that somewhere people are like, what the fuck happened to Rich? He just disappeared. Does anybody know what happened? You're like, I'm a gardener. I live in this little compound. This is my life. I've always been here.
You pick some weeds.
Dude, you reminded me of a book that I read. This was years ago, so I can't remember. I can't remember the author / main character's name, but the book is called My Life Deleted. And it was this guy that owned a private airline, like where he a jetliner airline company. And he walked into his office one day. He was a former NFL player, and he walked into the office one day or into his airport hangar, and they were cleaning. The floors were wet, and he walked into the bathroom and slipped on the floor, fell, hit his head, lost all his memory, like everything. I mean, this guy was, I don't know, probably like close to 50 years old, been married for 20-ish years, kids that were in high school, graduating from high school. I mean, couldn't remember being married, didn't know his wife's name, didn't know his kids, nothing. Had to relearn his entire life. Like was going back and rewatching like videos of him and his wife getting married or his kids birthdays, like couldn't remember any of it, none of it. Imagine that. Like, you wake up and so when he woke up, like he goes into at one point he goes into his closet and he's got like 5 Rolex watches, and he's just in a different headspace, and he's like, what do I need? Like, what do I need all these Rolexes? Like, what is all this for?
What was I doing?
Yeah. So he just ends up like unloading half the stuff that he has. He's like, I don't need these things.
That's
perspective.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really interesting, man. It's the book's
somebody should have gotten to the Rolexes before he came home. He wouldn't be like, where are my Rolexes? He doesn't remember he had them.
I would have been like, no, I'll tell you what you were going to do with those. Those were my Christmas gifts this year. At least 2 of them.
Oh yeah. Dude, I left my Rolexes in your closet, man. I'm sorry. Do you remember I left the Rolexes in your closet and all of my money in your safe?
Yeah. Can I get that back, please? You remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, he'd be like, I don't remember the code to my safe. Sorry. Can't help you out there. Dude, imagine like being on the other side of that. Imagine being like, dude, Duncan, imagine Aaron coming home and She's just like, who are you? Legitimately.
That would be crazy. I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. This is real. This happens.
Yeah.
People, when you get old, that's what happens. You just, the whole thing down the drain.
In
One day,
theory.
Erin will I will come home older than her. I'll just come home and be like, who are you? Are you the maid? Let me see your tits. You're my husband.
In theory, though, wouldn't you just have to wait till Thursday?
I mean, I don't know how that Thursdayism is a thought experiment. It's just sort of like wrapped. It's like what we're talking about, which is, what really makes you you. And for a lot of people, they will tell you it's my memories. Like if we get rid of your memories, what are you now? Like, what is it? Is it still even you? If we wipe the whole damn thing, and especially if we replace them, but you wipe them all, now what are you? You're starting over. Clearly, whoever this guy was, he changed. He became less into Rolexes. He became less materialistic. So yeah, it's a fun thought experiment. It's a really fun thing. In Greek mythology, you die. When you die, you go to Hades. There's a river called Lethe, Lethe.
Mm-hmm.
You drink it, and you forget your previous life.
Huh.
And it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the idea in reincarnation is like whatever the fuck happened before this life gets scrubbed before you get popped into the one you're currently in. So you get kind of a blank slate. You get to start over, but underlying the memories, there seems to be a momentum, a kind of like tendency, a deeper thing than memory, which is just your karma, shit you like, shit you don't like. And then that builds all your new memories. That's what determines how you live your life.
Using the example of My Life Deleted, like he lost his memories, but he also, his memories wouldn't attach him. For example, in his previous life, it wouldn't attach him to things like valuing extra Rolexes or having too many cars or expensive cars. Like even when those memories are deleted, I don't know how you like. You're still going to like to suddenly wake up and say, I don't value these things anymore.
Yeah. Something changed.
Let's say, for example, I value material items, but I value those material items because as a kid growing up, I grew up pretty poor. Like I grew up from a place of scarcity. So now that I have money, I compensate this with buying a lot of material items. But if I lose all my memory, then I don't remember growing up from a place of scarcity. So I no longer value these material items. Like maybe it is based on memory. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Yeah,
well, it's definitely based on a story you're telling yourself. I mean, it's like, I recognize that they're nice watches, but I don't really care for Rolexes. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. It probably means I have bad taste. I don't know. But but when I see them, I'm like, I'm really that into them.
I don't really wear watches.
Some people love them. I see things that I like, and I'm like, I want that shiny thing. And who knows what that is? I mean, you probably invent a story about why you want this thing or that thing to make sense of, the compulsion to like get something. I mean, it's a compulsion, right? Like I've just been reading this thing that everything is your mind. So like, not in some necessarily spiritual, metaphysical way, but literally there's some kind of phenomena happening out here. It's all getting sorted through the filter of your brain, your eyes, your ears, your nose, all your sensory apparatus, and assembled instantaneously into reality. So whatever you are experiencing right now, it's your mind. Like there's no way around that. It's just, it's like you. So what happens is people don't realize that. They're like, oh, this isn't my mind. There's this stuff outside of me. And so you see this thing and you think, I want it because you think it's not you. And then you like try to get it and you get it. And then when you have it for a second, you get this sense of like comfort or something, when you finally get like, what is it I want right now? I don't know if you have this, but I always have like a kind of tugging thing on me of something that I want that I'm like waiting to buy because it's like, no, I'm not going to buy that. I'm just fucking crazy. I'm not going to buy that. Home theater. I want this badass fucking, I had some people come check out the climate. I have a whole idea. for a badass home theater. Oh, fuck. It's going to be great. Screen that comes down. There's going to be this fucking like 4K projector. It's going to be nuts, dude. I want it so I can play video games in there. Loud. Now, all of it is ridiculous. Like, what's going to happen is I'll think about it. Finally, like, all right, we're squeezing the trigger and it'll happen. The thing will get built in my gym and
in my gym.
Yeah, it's going to be built there. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be like, wow, look at the detail. Oh my God, this is incredible. 2 months, it's like, whatever. I'm going to go play PlayStation and the fucking thing. It won't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'll be exactly where I was before I got the thing. But you get this little, do you ever do whippets? You ever do whippets?
I don't. Dude, just so you know, Duncan, I've never had a sip of alcohol in my life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Don't. It sucks. It's the worst drug. Whippets on the
But whippets on the other hand. Okay, so I'll skip the alcohol and I'll hit the whippets. So
go straight to the whippets.
Educate me, please.
Cool.
Whippets are like in the old days we used to call it hippie crack because like at the Grateful Dead concerts, someone would have like a nitrous oxide tank and they'd sell these balloons and the hippies like it's weirdly addictive. Like not like physically addictive and certainly not long term, but like, it's you just once you have one, you want another. So you just end up with like giving all your money away to the nitrous dude, and they're always grumpy and mean, which is a weird thing because like because the balloons pop, like they get too cold and they pop. Or you watch you ever seen a kid drop an ice cream cone?
Oh yeah.
And that look of sadness, you see that on a grown man's face as his nitrous balloon pops, and the nitrous dealer's like, no refunds, man. Like, what the fuck? Your balloon pop. Anyway, the point is, it's a quick, stupid high. It's just like you get a little pop, things go whoa, 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 whoa. You're like, ugh. And then you're completely sober instantly. It's like a whoa. That's getting stuff is similar to a nitrous high. You get this quick little whoa, 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 whoa. I got the thing, man. It's cool. And then gradually, it's just normal life again, right?
Yeah.
So that's the idea. The idea is really you can't really get anything because it's your mind. What can you get in your own mind? It's already there. It's already you. You got it.
Well, I think that's why I'm not a big on material. So it's funny that you bring this up because I'm in the middle of building a house right now.
Holy shit.
And it's like, dude, it's like this time.
I can't imagine.
It's crazy expensive, man. It's just crazy expensive. But I'm building a house. I've lived this life where I've traveled and I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I want to be able to spend some time home and I want to live in a nice place. And the home that I live in is not, it's just old construction. It wasn't really necessarily intended to be living in, but I do. Either way, it took me forever to build this house, and it's in the middle of construction, not going to be done for several months. And I wonder, this effect that you're talking about, like with the home theater, when 2 months later you go in and you're like, I'm just gonna go in and chill. But that's why for me, most of what I spend my money on, and I don't know if the house falls under this category, is experiences. So I'm really bad. Like I would never buy a watch as expensive as a Rolex. I just can't ever fathom spending money on something like that. But like even like I need a new pair of gym shoes, and I'm this guy that's like, it's weird. I'm like, oh God, man, like, I'm going to spend $150 on gym shoes. Like, I don't really need these gym shoes. I'll talk myself out of it for the next 2 months. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, Rich, want to go hang out tonight? Let's go grab some sushi. I'd be like, sure. And we go eat some sushi. And for me to drop $150 on a sushi dinner, wouldn't think twice about it. Right. Because it's the experience of the sushi dinner. Like now I have this experience, which is my memory. So, like buying like rope climbing gear, or I have my snowboard, or no, that's my wakeboard. Oh no, I have my snowboard back there. Like that kind of stuff is like, it's like, I can take that thing. I don't mind spending money on something expensive like that because I could take it and I can go do things with it, and repeatedly. And I don't think that it wears off like the movie theater would, because when you put a movie theater in your house, you're going to use it pretty much every day. So then it just becomes normal. But living in Ohio, we have those really tall mountains in Ohio that you've heard of. Wait, oh no, never mind. That was a different state.
The cornfields, Rich.
Yeah, the cornfields.
Yep.
You just
Did
don't.
you catch me? Wait, you see what I did? I went, yeah. I laughed.
Yeah.
Because I'm the least geographic. I don't know anything. I did the thing like, yeah, of course, the Ohio mountains. I know them. They're massive. The big old Ohio mountains. They're so high.
No, wait. Is Asheville a mountain town? You came from Asheville, right?
Asheville's a mountain town.
Yeah.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah, you should. You at least know some geography, right?
Right. I'm not completely unaware of things, but I will sometimes look at a map and be like, wow, I am dumb. That's my planet. I've been here long enough to know where the countries are that I'm still a little confused about.
It's all right. I had a friend that didn't realize that Washington, D.C. and Washington State were
two different things.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I've been calling it the Swedish Alps, man.
The Swedish.
My wife makes fun of me for it. You've been calling it that forever. Look, whatever. What do we have to know the name of every mountain range? I'm not saying therefore don't get stuff. I think part of being human, it's fun. It's fun to get stuff. But it's also fun to sort of look at the whole sort of continuum of experience, from desire to fulfilling the desire to when the desire diminishes. It's just fun to look at the way we experience reality in that way. It's an interesting thing to watch. That I want, now I have, and then you want something else,
right?
And then you have.
Do you have a guilty pleasure, like something that you do spend money on, where you're like, I probably shouldn't spend
Are you fucking? I wish I could turn the thing. I synthesizers, man. Look, let me show you. This is my guilty pleasure. I'm forbidden. I don't let myself do it anymore, but I'm going to show you something. I don't know if I'll be able to. Hold on one second.
All right.
I'm going to have to unplug this massive thing here. Hang on. Hold on.
While you're working on that, I will say, Rich, Duncan, don't sell yourself short on a pair of gym shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh. They will save your life.
Yeah. Yeah, you should get your shoes, man. This is my guilty pleasure.
Is that from NASA?
Modular synthesizers. These are every one of these is a different synthesizer that you route music and energy through. It makes the craziest sounds you ever heard in your life. I got into this a few years ago, man, and it's all I want is more synthesizers.
What do you need? What do you need multiple synthesizers for?
Sound like my wife.
What, you need multiple wives?
No, my wife is like, "What? You don't need a million synthesizers." But she, she recognizes the addiction to technology. You don't need multiple synthesizers, but what do you really need?
Gym shoes,
need food, you need gym. You don't need gym shoes. You don't need gym shoes.
Yes, you do.
Look, I mean need in the sense of we're out in the woods trying to survive. Nobody's like, dude, we got to find gym shoes.
Give me some shoes, bro.
This is coming from
maybe.
This is coming from a man that walked across the country, so I'll give him his gym shoes at least.
Look, I'm not bashing gym shoes at all. I need a new pair of gym shoes. I have flat feet and they're fat. I need new shoes. But I have a guilty pleasure. Synthesizers, musical instruments.
Well, look, I can understand requiring, that's why I ask you, what is there a need for multiple synthesizers? Because, for example, if I said, oh, well, here, let me show you all my, my gloves that I have. I'd be like, okay, these are my bag gloves. These are my sparring gloves. These are my MMA gloves. These are my MMA sparring gloves. I'll have 15 different pair of gloves. And you'd be like, well, what do you need all these gloves for? Well, because they all serve a different function. So if your synthesizers do different things, then I completely understand.
I would not say that to you about your gloves. I would not be like, what do you need all these gloves? I just assume I bet he needs these gloves. I don't know what. He needs the gloves. He fights. Something about these gloves helps him fight. These synthesizers, it's a fair question. What do you need something called an Akimi's Taiko for? I'm not using this to beat people into submission, or it's a hobby. It's in my age, I don't know how old you are. I'm 48, 47. I'm old.
You're a few months older than me.
At our age, you're already doing it. You're building a house.
Yeah.
That's part of what you get a wood shop. You get into construction, or you get into synthesizers. It's either or, man. Like you just get into whittling or carving, and then it's that's what the music is for me. It's like my old man thing.
I think I'm just gonna hang some I'm gonna bypass the wood shop and hang some bags in my basement so I can just continue punching things. I think.
Yeah, I think you're anomalous as a human. Not all of us are like that. Like you're an anomalous human. Like not everyone's a professional fighter. In fact, I would say it's a very rare thing to find yourself in that incarnation.
Have you ever punched anybody in the face, Duncan?
Yeah. Are you asking if I have a brother?
Well, if you're from North Carolina, maybe it's your sister. I think they do that down there. Wah, wah.
Fair enough. Yes, I have, and I didn't like it, and I remember any of the dumb little like teenage scuffles I got into. I remember the adrenaline. I remember the way your body starts shaking. I remember the rage. The flailing about. It's very different, obviously, than what a professional fighter does.
Yeah.
It's like completely different. One is like you're focused. I don't even know. Do you get like? Sorry if this is the dumbest question, but do you get angry? When you're fighting? Like how angry do you get? Do you get like it's not emotional?
No, I mean, look, I would imagine that some people do. Like I'm a very cerebral fighter. Like I'm a thinker, and which it's weird. Like, so I went to college. I have a math degree. So my background is in mathematics. Now I'm not solving calculus formulas in the cage when I'm fighting or anything, but the analytical thinking that comes with that, I say would probably be a crucial element of the success of my career. Things like breaking down film of an opponent and anything that goes along with that. Now, with that being said, when I'm fighting, I'm very cerebral, so anytime if we were doing any kind of, if we were playing dodgeball in your gym next to your rock climbing facility in your house, I'm sure you probably have a dodgeball court there too. Like,
3.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one of them is being worked on right now.
Like if you could get me emotional, like playing a game like that, like some sort of competitive game, then I'm not thinking clearly. So I'm not going to perform at optimum levels. So for me, especially when I compete, like I want to be pretty much devoid of emotion. Like I want to be thinking clearly and solving problems, watching what you're doing in the fight, how you're moving, taking that data, processing it in my head, and then figuring out what my next move is. So the moment that I get emotional, it's like not good, to the point where I think the last time I was legitimately in a street fight was probably high school. Now I've had a couple, I don't know, altercations since then. Like I caught a guy breaking into a car of a friend of mine back when I lived out in LA for a couple years. I had a juice cafe out there, and I caught a guy breaking into my car or my friend's car, and I just remember like knocking on the window, and I was just super calm. There was no part of me that was even angry or like wanted to kill the guy, but I was like, get out of the car. And we ended up getting into this altercation, and the whole time I was like, he had a knife, and there was no part of me that got angry. I was just like, okay, well, let me problem solve here, and and should I kick him in the head? Should I do this? Like what,
Yeah.
No,
I didn't feel like a primal urge to kill.
No, I didn't. I know the feeling you're talking about because I've felt it before, but no, it's like I felt it prior to my career, so I know that feeling of like the schoolyard fight mentality,
where it's life or death, basically, or you think it is.
Yeah, but now
did the guy recognize you when you were kicking his ass? Was there a moment where he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
No, but
this is the day I'm having."
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he did recognize me, and I just didn't realize it. But he I just remember. I remember what ended up happening is like this guy took off running from me, and I caught him in like 3 steps. I was actually excited. I'm like, oh, foot chase, sweet. This is gonna be fun. Like I was actually I was like, this is a good time to me, right? And so I caught him from behind. I shot in on him. I shot like a double. And as I'm shooting in on him, this was a reminder of why you don't knee tap, like actual proper double leg shot from behind, because I left a piece of my jeans and a piece of my kneecap on the concrete.
Ooh.
But I remember like I shot and I grabbed him from behind, and it only took me like 3 steps to catch him. And I'm not even that fast really. And I was like, man, like I almost felt like letting him go. Like, okay, run again. Like I'll give you a further head start, like just to make it more interesting.
You wanted to toy with him.
Yeah. Right. You know,
Like
I mean, I wanted some excitement.
Like a cat. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted some excitement, but anyway,
Why didn't you take him to an island? You should have taken him to an island.
No, I
dropped him off and hunted him for a week.
I picked him up, and when I picked him up, I was going to slam him down, and I was like, well, I don't want to hurt him, so I just set him down real gently. And he had a box cutter, and he was trying to cut me, and I disarmed him.
Amazing.
But the funny thing is, when the police showed up, there's more to that story. But when the police showed up, the police officer, the first question he asked me, he's like, "Well, did you hit him?" I was like, That's the first question. I'm like, did you miss the part where I told you he had a knife? Yeah. So the police officer knew exactly who I was. He's like, did you hit him? And I'm like, wow. Huh. So yeah, for the rest of my life, like I don't even think I could get in a true situation where I had to defend myself and not come out with some serious legal ramifications.
You can't. Yeah, I've heard that about you guys. Like you just can't punch anybody anymore. It's such a paradox. It's so ironic, isn't it? That like if you do that, you are going to have to deal with like court. There's no way around it.
Right. Like I'm looking at it, like your piano behind you. Right. And I always tell people like, man, I chose the dumbest talent in the world because now I'm retired and I can't like you can, like if we were sitting around at a party, you could like, I don't know, play some piano, and I don't know what kind of music you play. Maybe you play blues, maybe you play classical.
Have you ever heard bad music? That's the kind of music I play. I can't play piano. I got this. Yeah. The reason I have the piano is because I'm trying to learn how to play piano because I've heard it helps. Like when you get older, it helps with the dementia. Like it causes neurogenesis to learn an instrument. So this is just like a kind of mental exercise I do because it's like playing music is really hard and confusing, and it like forces me to like, slam against the learning.
Do you want to play something for us?
Sure.
More than hot cross buns.
Actually, that is the only song I play, Cody, and it's very difficult. Again, let me reiterate here. I am just learning.
He's just learning. Yeah. Okay.
It's just chords. It's not that hard, but like, and also if you knew the amount of time to get to that point, you would be like, oh my God, dude, what's wrong? It's been like a slow, torturous thing to even get to the point where I could get my left hand. You all know this. To get the left hand to do what the right hand isn't doing, to split the left hand from the right hand. It's fucking hard, man. You know what I mean? With piano, you have to do that. And so I love it for just all those little like weird little tricks that you learn how to do over time. It's like cool. It teaches you more than piano. It teaches you a lot of stuff other than music.
That would be a lesson in patience for me. Dude.
Do it, man. You would love it.
Oh, no.
You'd be good at it too. I bet fighters, I bet that you all would be so good at piano.
No,
it's like rhythm.
I started learning how to play the drums a few years ago, and I got like I haven't picked up my sticks in a while because I've just been so busy, but I got to a point of proficiency, and part of the reason why I did it was twofold. Same of your thought, like the neurogenesis aspect of it, particularly I'm getting hit in the head every day, so I'm losing brain cells probably at a much more rapid pace than you. But then also it was good for me to have a completely different outlet when I was done training, because it's so like my day is so high adrenaline all the time or high energy output or whatever. And so, yeah, the drum seemed to help that. But like anytime you're getting your hands like off time, you're playing like a certain rhythm with your right hand and a different rhythm with your left hand, or trying to add your foot or both feet in there, God forbid. It's interesting, right? Like how to do that. Like you have to get in a real zone to do that. It's so frustrating at first too. It's so frustrating. How long have you been doing piano lessons?
Well, I haven't been doing lessons, which I should do because it would expedite like the process. So I've been teaching myself piano for like I've had this piano for a couple of years. Before that, I've always had synthesizers, and I just sort of like I'll sit and like study scales, and then sort of like it's really interesting. I bet y'all know this. Like what's curious, and again, obviously not athlete, but I'm sure it's identical in one sense, which is that something happens where if you practice enough, the next day, sometimes you'll sit down and be able to do something you couldn't do the day before. Like in the night, your brain figured it out or something. So you'll look at your hands and it's like, wait, what the fuck? I can do that now? What is that?
Yeah.
I love that too. That's such a weird quality of training.
This happens in fighting too. Like when I'm training, maybe I'm prepping camp for a new opponent, and I'm working specific technique or something, and I've just been like failing at it, and then I go home from the gym. I'm like, oh man, today was just another terrible day, and all of a sudden I come in the next day and I'm like performing this whatever technique or whatever I have to do at a completely different level. I'm like, where this, and just suddenly your brain just kicks in and it's
something's running in the background. Clearly something's running in the background. Like the physical thing is not where it stops. It's, in meditation, they talk about meditation and then everything after is post meditation. Like, so it's like, the two are weirdly connected, like they're all kind of all happening at the same time, or they're all like something is I don't know what it is. It's really curious. I mean, maybe that's something the CIA could figure out, right? Like if we could remove the physical part and just have whatever that background process is, just trigger that background process in people, then holy shit, everybody would be waking up able to play piano or fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you could implant memories, if I could implant memories of you being a concert pianist, I don't know, playing Carnegie or something, right?
Yeah.
And I can implant these memories. Could you just wake up tomorrow with the ability to play? Like, would that create the neural pathways?
Probably. I think we're close to it too. I think we're close. I mean, if you think about for the military, how valuable the ability to implant memories into soldiers would be. And think of all the money that goes into training soldiers for like years to get to the point where they're like deadly. Like that's so much money. It's dangerous. A lot of times, many of them like die just like training, and it takes time. You've got to get more recruits. But if you could just like inject that into somebody. So, and the military is the most funded thing. The U.S. military has all the money. So you better believe they're studying this shit. They want to know how to do this.
On the back end too, it would probably kill a lot of PTSD because you would strip all those memories as well.
Did you all see the report about the super soldiers?
I didn't.
No.
I've seen reports on this before, but if there's something new that's out, I haven't seen it.
I mean, I think it was just proven that like Russia was actively testing super soldiers. So I don't know if they're making a bunch of like Captain America like people, but I don't know.
But I mean, they've been playing with performance enhancing drugs for like, I mean, since prior to World War II.
Oh, that'd be so nice to get some Soviet sports medicine.
This idea of implanting and erasing memories. Have you seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's essentially what we're talking about here.
Deal with heartbreak, erase the fucking memories. You think you're going to fix the problem. Yeah, it's great. It's so, I love that movie. It's great, man. It's like, you ever get into Marcus Aurelius at all? You ever get into that stoicism?
No.
I read Meditations.
Meditations has got this little essay on like people who are afraid of death. And Marcus Aurelius is breaking it down like everything that happened before now is gone. All you have left is your memories. But whatever that is, it's like, and your memories aren't even that good. Like if you ever, I don't know if you ever like look into your memories and you realize like, shit, man, my memories are like, they're definitely not HD. Like my memories are not HD. They're kind of fuzzy, like an old TV with this bunny ear antennas on.
Black and white with he's having trouble getting reception.
That's my memories. It's fun to kind of think like, what would this be? Like how many pixels is this memory? And then if you think in terms of like, well, what isn't being recorded? Like a memory, you kind of, you don't taste. Sadly, we can't remember taste. So like when you're thinking about that great meal you ate, you're not tasting it. You just remembered it satisfied you in some way. Anyway, it's obviously a pretty flawed way that we're storing data. compared to like the way we store it digitally. Anyway, obviously Marcus Aurelius didn't say that. I don't think there were computers back then, but the everything before this gone, except there's some memories, and the memories aren't even very accurate. Aside from the fact that you can't remember smells, taste, blah blah. Like people remember things differently, and a lot of things you don't remember at all. People lose their keys. Where were you when you lost your keys? Where were you? What person was walking around that lost their keys? You weren't there. If you were there, you'd know where your fucking keys were. So a huge swath of your life, it doesn't even make it into the memory banks. It's just gone. So if you kind of look at like, I don't know how many petaflops of data one human incarnation is, but I'm guessing what we're retrieving or storing is probably like maybe a gig, a whole lifetime, a couple of gigs, maybe a terabyte, I don't know. And so the point is, whatever the actual thing that isn't memories, it's gone. And obviously there's nothing ahead of you except there's no future. This is this. So Marcus Aurelius is asking, what are you? What do you think, sir? What do you think dies? What dies? Well, if you're scared of death, what's dying? It's already dead. You already lost everything. It's already all gone.
I think you're underestimating how much we store in memories, because like you're like a gig or even a terabyte. Like think about everything that you have to remember. At one point in time in your life, you had to learn how to walk, and you had to remember how to do that. And and if you got into a car wreck and something happened to your back and you had surgery and you had to learn how to walk again, like you'd have to relearn. And you know, I mean, because what they say, like you learn like, I don't know, 90% of everything you're going to learn within the first 5 years of life or something like that. So there's the amount of storage of things. I mean, just to, for example, if I said to you like, Duncan, explain to me, I've never had a strawberry or I've never had pineapple before. Explain to me what pineapple tastes like. Like you can kind of, you can remember what pineapple tastes like in your mouth as I'm thinking about it, like even the back of my tongue is starting to water a little bit. Like, you know,
taste it.
I can't taste it.
If you could taste it, there would be no fat people. You would just sit on the couch and think about Doritos and be like, oh, these are really good. You don't have to eat Doritos once.
Wait,
we'd all be emaciated.
This could be some form of meditation though. If you meditate long enough, you might be able to taste a Dorito perhaps. Have you ever done like a taste meditation? Does that even exist?
I have never done that, but I think like that, if that was like a possibility, people would be more into that than enlightenment. People would be like, yeah, I'll take Doritos over enlightenment any day. How long do I have to meditate? I'll take Doritos over enlightenment. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that would be incredible. Like it would be one of the most disruptive things that happened to society if like tomorrow we all woke up and could like taste our memories. Like, yeah, restaurants would shut down.
I don't know. I think it would depend on how long how long would you have to meditate to generate that taste? Because if it took too long, people would be like, I'll just eat the Doritos.
I'll just go buy a bag of fucking Doritos.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes and sum it up, taste meditate for the next 20 minutes just so I can.
But also think in terms of like, imagine like if our memories were more powerful. In other words, like when you're thinking about like the best sex of your life, it's still a kind of shadow of what you experienced. But if when you're thinking about it, you could fully experience it again, that would fuck everything up because everyone would just be sitting around completely locked into their memories, reliving their favorite memory over and over and over again. You wouldn't do anything. It would mess everything up. It's almost like we need our memories to be not as like vivid and real as our waking experience, or we wouldn't do anything.
It's funny you say that because memories in general, we bend on a regular basis. Yeah, that's
what
right?
I was about to talk about that. Yeah.
Because, for instance, when I was receiving chemotherapy, my memories, like what I remember, is not what my parents remember, and it's not what my doctor remembers. So I don't know if the truth is somewhere in the middle, but it's really kind of creepy when you start diving into certain things like that, how your truth or what you thought the reality was actually something that never happened.
Or like as time goes on, how you embellish memories oftentimes, right? Like, you know, like Duncan, you know any of those guys that were the high school quarterback and prom king, and
Sure, I know what you're talking about.
and
Yeah.
they threw the winning touchdown in the state championship game, but then like 3 years later they threw 2 touchdowns, and then like 10 years later it was 4 touchdowns, and they rushed for 85 yards, and
Yeah, sure.
yeah, right. And so it's like
better and better.
yeah, right. So I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if you'd want an accurate memory anyway, because according to me, I've had some amazing things happen in my life. They're probably way more amazing now than they were when they happened.
Yeah, right, man. That's true. We sort of like we fuck around with our memories. We change them and warp them to suit who we want to be. Like, it's unbearable for some people to look back at things that they've done, decisions they've made, and just deal with the fact like you fucked up.
Oh,
like some people will try to warp the memory to make themselves less of a monster instead of like just like dealing with like, no, at that time in your life, there's no reason to do that. You're sort of a monster, and it's hard. So it's easier to warp and twist. This is like in Buddhism, one of the roots of suffering. There's like 3 causes of the 3 roots of the RGB of suffering. One of them is ignorance, which means actively ignoring. And that's what you're talking about. It's a form of ignorance, which is, something happened, but you're ignoring the reality of what happened and replacing it with some fantasy. You're throwing some fantasy in there to try to upgrade your life or something. But deep down inside, the truth. Yeah,
that's what
you didn't do. Whatever you thought you did.
In my life, and everybody should think this way. It's like I'm the star of my movie, right? I'm the hero, the action hero, and I save the day. Like in my real life, like that's how you got to think of yourself this way. And I think on some level, everybody kind of does think of themselves that way, right? And not that you're out like catching bad guys, but whatever your challenge is, it's like I'm going to overcome this. Like I'm the star of this movie.
Yeah.
But then I think people will hit a depressive state when talking about the ignorance that you brought up, like when there's the delta between who you really are and who you believe yourself to be. Like you put yourself on this pedestal, and when that delta gets too big, and then you realize like I'm nothing like this person that I built myself up to be in. Yeah, I think that can really, really mess with a person's mind, create a lot of depression.
People will be doing that. Actually, they have the fantasy version of themselves and then the real version of themselves, and they're always like, burning incense to the fantasy version of themselves. You know what I mean? Like you've got to like give up the fantasy and deal with the fact you're a crusted old cum sock in the corner of a climbing gym.
I think that's going to be the tagline for this podcast.
Be
Sometimes you got to be the cum sock.
Yeah.
We know that you're not living the double life because you have difficulty with just keeping your wife and your maid straight.
What? What you mean there? That's my wife. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. Yeah, man. I think the what's really exciting is when you stop doing that fantasy thing, and you just like kind of like you stop doing all that, and you're just like you let yourself be just as you are. That to me is like a really wonderful moment in a person's life. Many people call that hitting bottom. Actually, you don't have to be a junkie, and you don't have to like you don't have to destroy your life to hit bottom. I think that's a myth. You could actually hit bottom right now,
I agree.
Without having to, just by fully recognizing who you are. I mean, that literally is the bottom. That's it. It's the truth is a better way to put it. It's like the truth. That's whatever you are, all of it that's you. Everything that you did and your perception and all of it, it's reality. You don't need to change it at all. It's fine the way it is. And then it's less exhausting, man. I mean, you're not going to be depressed anymore. If you just kind of deal with like, oh yeah, I'm kind of a neurotic, angry dude or whatever. That's where you've got to be to get better. You have to start there, though. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't start. Like, you're not going to learn piano if you think you know how to fucking play piano. Like, you have to start horrible. There's no way to not start horrible. You got to like start horrible. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a learning curve,
Before I made it in the UFC, but had made a name for myself kind of regionally and was climbing the ranks. And so I was pretty decently talented at the time. But wrestling was the weakest link of my fight game. And, so being in this position where I'm undefeated, how many fights I have, 6, 8, wherever I was, and thinking like, all right, I'm pretty good at this game, right? Like this, I'm going to go somewhere, and having to actually assess myself and say, okay, wrestling is the weakest link of this chain. And if I don't improve that, that's where the chain is going to break. So I have to step out of this role and into wrestling rooms. And man, dude, you want to talk about the most humbling experience? Like you go from being like one of the best guys in the boxing gym type of situation to the worst guy on the wrestling mat, just getting dumped and dumped and dumped. Like it just, like it takes a lot. So I've been through that enough times that I have the ability, I think, to honestly step back and self-assess. And, at least, especially from like I'm a Christian. So from that Christian perspective is like, we use the word sin, and it's like, like understanding like my sinful nature and saying like, man, like looking in the mirror and being like, this is who you really are. Like, this is who you really are. Yeah.
That's one of the most beautiful things about Christianity, isn't it? It's a relief. Yeah. People on the outside, they hear about Christianity, the sin thing. You're not even supposed to say sin. Just now you have to say, we say sin. You used to be able to, by the way, just say sin without having to like preface it by we say sin. I don't know why saying that became like a bad word or something, or like people feel like it's a shaming word. Maybe it is.
It is like you actually said fat, and I was like, ooh, wow, man. Like, are we even allowed to say that word anymore?
I'm allowed to say it. I lost 15 pounds. I used to weigh 185. I was so fat. I'm allowed to say. I think I'm allowed to say it because I was fat.
Amen.
I was like quantitatively fat, like I was fat.
That's the weird thing out there, right? Is we're promoting unhealthiness. No matter how it is, we're promoting unhealthiness as a society, and it's kind of sad
in all ways. Like whether we're talking about sin or recognizing yourself or
fat exists.
It's just,
I mean, we can say there is a fat in the, like you must admit fat exists.
Oh,
like,
it does.
You order a nice cut of meat, it's got fat on it. Fat is real, and it comes into human bodies and makes them get big, and then there's more weight, so your heart has to work harder to carry your body around. This is fat. And I think, if you are looking at your fat body, and honestly, in your heart of hearts, you're looking at yourself all fat, and you're like, this is great. This is who I am. More power to you. But me, when I was looking at my fat fucking body, I'm like, damn, I got kids, man. I got to stay alive for my kids. I can't have all this vodka fat. I got to quit drinking and lose weight and not be fat.
How tall are you?
5'9".
5'9", and you were 185. That's not that big.
Dude, I'm not going to show pictures I took pictures of myself. I mean, look, again, this is subjective. This is like, for me, I didn't like the way my body was looking. I appreciate what you're saying, Rich, but I don't know any other way to put it. It's like, I don't know. Have you ever really been fat?
Me, no. Fat? I come from skinny jeans. So I'll tell you what, just to come from the opposite direction, I came from a family of big men. Like all the men in my family are big. I got this picture of me and my father just a few months before my dad passed away. No, it was shorter than that. Maybe a couple years before he passed away. But my dad was 6'3". When he was younger, like I would say my age, but heck, my dad died at 56 and I'm 48 now, so I'm not that far behind. But like when my dad was probably in his mid 30s, like 33 to 35, he was 6'4", 280 and looked like a former NFL player. Husky guy, but athletic and strong. My father was so strong. And then, by the time he passed away, he was probably, I'm guessing 340, 345. But he was so big that he hid a lot of the fat that he had. And of course, as he aged, because he wasn't lifting, he was the decreased muscle mass. So the percentage of fat on his body, not just from the weight that he gained but as he's losing muscle, he's also still gaining fat as well. So, I ended up with my mother's genes. So my, like, I have 3 brothers, and of my 3 brothers, like, I'm the skinniest frame guy in my family. Like,
Gotcha.
I'm the guy who can, like, you know, touch my wrist and actually, you know, touch my fingers together, which is typically shows signs of like a smaller frame. So I've never been fat, but I have been on the other side of that coin where I'm like, if you saw pictures of me in high school, you'd literally be like, no, there's no way that's you. Cause I was so skinny. So there's a different type of, I would say for me, like a different type of body dysmorphia. Cause I grew up in the 80s. You see every action star was just, they were, well, I don't think they were taking steroids, like guys like Arnold and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Stallone. They were just eating their vegetables. So I grew up.
Spinach.
No steroids, just vegetables.
Yeah, right.
Lots of spinach.
Yeah.
Lots of spinach. That's really all you need.
Yeah.
Just spinach.
Yeah. Well, that's kale.
Silverbacks.
Silverbacks. That's all they eat is kale, right? So
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but no, man. Like, so, you know, I came from a different perspective, like a different side of that coin, man. So,
But you know what it's like to look in the mirror and feel dissatisfaction with where you're at physically. Like that is
everybody at some point.
But here's a crazy thing, man. Like for me, Duncan, and this is crazy. Like I don't know. The last picture that was posted on my Instagram, I actually didn't have a shirt on, and yeah, right. And it's you know, not a bad photo, but I can look at a photo like that or look at me in the mirror, and this is an athlete mentality. It's a mentality of insatiability. But I'll find more things that I would like to fix than things that I like, which I think on one hand is unhealthy.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that's actually a healthy mentality to have in life, because I'm never satiated with the current situation, right? Or where I'm always seeking more, just like in my fight career, right? I go in and I train today and I attain this level of ability, and I'm like, or like today, when you're done playing the piano, maybe it's the best day of piano you ever had, but you're like, tomorrow I'm going to do better. And it's considered a healthy mentality when you apply it to something like pursuing an athletic career, playing a musical instrument. But the moment that you start applying that same mentality to your body, people would look at you like people would look at me, and if they saw me actually break down the things I don't like in my body, they'd be like, "Are you crazy? Like, dude, look at you. Like, look at the way you look, especially for your age. Like, that's insane." And it's like, well, no, it's the same mentality of, I'm not going to just let myself rest on my current situation. Like, I need to build off of this.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I know the feeling of looking myself in the mirror and saying like, I don't like this and I don't like that.
Well, you know, at my age, getting fat, and I don't just mean like, you know, it's like, I'm talking about like you know, you get fat the same way you get old. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of slow. And then like suddenly you look at yourself and like, God damn, look at those wrinkles. What the fuck? I mean, those wrinkles have been there yesterday, the day before, but just all of a sudden you notice them. And with getting fat, you kind of like slowly start ballooning out, but it's happening so slowly. If you're not, you might get used to it, or you might think like, oh, I'll deal with that later. But at some point, well, at least for me, and again, I'm not trying to fat shame anybody. This is my own subjective relationship with my body. And I think I do have an unhealthy relationship with my body a lot of the time. I'm a never nude. But at some point when you're my age and you step on the scale and you've gained 15 pounds and you look in the mirror and you're like, wait, what? I gained 15 pounds. You're not thinking I'm going to stop at 185. Yeah. You're thinking the momentum is going to keep going. I'm going to get up to 190, maybe 2, who knows? And then I'm going to start getting really sick. Then I'm going to start getting like diabetes, or then I'm going to start getting all the stuff that goes along with it. I got fucking kids, man. I can't like, I'm saying this as I vape, by the way. I recognize the irony here. I'll get rid of the fucking vape. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like,
wait, weren't we talking about whippets before?
Go back to whippets.
Whippets are better for you than vapes. They've got to be better for you than vapes. Truly, whippets are better. I get that than vapes. But you know, yeah, I'm not trying to fat shame, and I get why people are trying to do body positivity, because you know, hating yourself is going to make you cruel to people around you. Blah blah blah. But also, you know, I think there is something really exciting about the reality that as human beings, we can improve.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool, man. That's cool. You can get better at stuff. You can you can use your mind to change your physical form in any way that you want, if you want to learn to play piano. It's so cool. To me, that's exciting. And when you make it happen, holy shit, it makes you feel quite empowered. You know, it's a really exciting, good feeling.
I'm careful about the way I say this, but I'll just say it. I wish that everybody had the desire to want to change, right? Like, and by that, I mean, you know, because when you talk about like learning the piano or something, it's like making yourself a better version today than what you were of yourself yesterday. And some people just could care less.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I've been that person. I know that feeling. It sucks. I know that feeling. It's just, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to be stuck.
Yeah, it's tough. And you feel just like an endless disgust that you can't get rid of.
Did you feel that way when you were going through chemo?
After, because I was, so Duncan, I'm only 26. So y'all got me beat by like 20 years. But yeah, not going through it necessarily, because that was a slow body change, just like y'all are talking about. So I was on about a 145 frame, and slowly I became looking like a bag of bones, a skeleton. Yeah. My family didn't even notice, right? So it wasn't a family thing. It was people, when I would visit my grandma at work, her boss would be like, wow, is he doing okay? Because I look horrible. There's a picture I have, and I literally look like a skeleton. And it's the eeriest picture that I've ever looked at. We didn't see that, though. What I saw was depression for dissatisfaction, I guess, for my current living standard after. Because I wasn't a wrestler anymore. I couldn't play football. I couldn't run. They told me I wouldn't walk. They told me I would be hobbling around forever. So I let myself go. And throughout the rest of high school, I didn't work out. And I was a 185, 190 of chunk. And I'm not even 5'8", Duncan. So I felt disgusting. I remember there's one graduation picture.
I just gotta say, it's really crazy to think that you went from bag of bones to that, right? And
there's
like a piece of you that was disgusted on the low end. And then I would imagine there was a part of you, like as you were gaining the weight, it was like made you happy to distance yourself from that.
Right.
To only become
something that I didn't recognize in the mirror, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that there's a graduation picture from high school into college. And I remember sucking in my stomach. It's with me and all my siblings, because I didn't want this tank top version of me to show flub.
Yeah.
And that was a eye-opening thing, because I fit in that shirt now.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling, isn't it?
It is.
What kind of cancer did you have?
I had a Ewing sarcoma. So it's a form of bone cancer. It affects about 400 children every year in America.
Dude, Cody lost a bone in his leg, and they had to restructure his entire ankle. And then he was told he'd never walk again. And then he walked across the whole country from New York to LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I even took a big southern pass through Austin.
See, I think that kind of stuff, that's like, you know, who gives a shit about like, you know, in stories you hear, I don't care about like someone who was wise all the way through. I'm interested in like the people who were miscreants and then something happened and they got their life changed.
Yeah.
That to me is really cool, because I think that's exciting for people, because people going through cancer, when they hear that, I have one ball. I had testicular cancer. We're in the cancer club. And hey, but you know, that's a really incredible thing you did, man. I mean, in the sense of like all the people who are going through that right now, or who have kids who are going through it, or, you know, to grab hold of the reins and like pull yourself back up. Whenever you do that, other people pull themselves back up because you prove it can be done. Like,
Yeah.
like they used to think the minute mile, the
4
there
minute
used to be
mile.
4 minute mile. Somebody beats that shit. And then all of a sudden everyone starts beating that person because people realize it could be done.
Yeah.
I think people reduce themselves. They don't think they're important. But it's like anytime you stop drinking, anytime you like manage to like lose the weight that you don't want on your body anymore, you're not just helping yourself. You're like inevitably someone will be like, what happened? How did you do that?
How did you lose your weight? What did you go about doing for this?
Heroin.
It's effective.
I got addicted to heroin and lost all the weight. It's a great way to lose weight. You can go to my website, losingweightthroughsmack.com. I'm actually show a wonderful heroin intermittent fasting technique. Nobody laughed at my shitty joke.
I did.
It was a shitty joke. Fine.
No. I was going to ask if you had a shop on that website and if you sold product.
What I did is I quit drinking.
Oh, really?
I just stopped drinking. Yeah, I had to stop. I was drinking too much. It was making me fat. And then not only was it making me fat, but when you're drinking too much, it makes you eat like shit. Like the next day you're all hungover and you want shitty food and stuff. So it leads to a feedback loop. So yeah, I just like got myself off the booze and like almost immediately lost not immediately. It took a few weeks, but just weight just started coming off. And then because I didn't feel like shit all day, and I had more of a clear mind, I was able to do intermittent fasting. So I started doing intermittent fasting on top of that. And now I'm down to 169. And I don't know, I might try to lose a little bit more actually, just to see if I can, but I'm but I got a tonal. So like for me, the next step is I need to start working out.
So you gave up alcohol completely? Like you don't drink at all anymore?
Yeah. I don't drink.
Man, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's like
it's still a shitty drug. Wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
for me.
but listen, it's like that's okay though. I mean, when you give up drinking, like heroin, I guess is a good easy replacement for it. Like it's kind of fills that.
Heroin is a great replacement. I don't like booze. All the like sedative drugs. I don't really like. I used to like when I was much younger, I had a like mild flirtation with opioids. Like I thought I enjoyed that high.
Yeah.
But now when I take them, I just feel sick.
Well,
yeah.
That's interesting. See, I've never drank. I was like the best friend you could have in college because I could have been your designated driver. But I've never understood like people that drink because I mean, I've seen people that have terrible hangovers and it just looks awful. But then on top of it, for me, because I eat real clean, my nutrition is very clean as well. So for me to go eat, like if I woke up and I'm like, oh, let me get all this like corn dogs and just crap food. Yeah. I'm going to suffer from like a food coma from that. Right. So I can't imagine coupling that with a hangover. I don't understand why people with hangovers, I would imagine people with hangovers would be like, dude, give me some of that like kale and celery juice because my head is killing me. But they don't.
No one thinks that. No, you're like huevos rancheros. Your body wants your poor body, which is your humble, faithful servant. Mm. You know what I mean? Your body will put anything into your mouth that you ask it to. Anything. And your poor body is just trying to like deal with its nightly poisoning. So, it's sending signals of like, well, I don't know why you keep poisoning me, master, but let's try huevos rancheros to, I don't know, soak up the booze or something. It's just your body, some part of you is trying to understand, like, why are you fucking doing this? Your liver is like, what the fuck are you doing this to us for? Every single night, you get out of balance. And when you're out of balance, it leads to more imbalance and more imbalance and more imbalance, because you eat like shit, you feel bad, you want to pour booze on the bad feeling, and then you're going to eat like shit again. And then all the other stuff,
circular.
You know what I mean?
It's quicksand. It becomes quicksand.
Yeah, for some people, never get out of the quicksand.
So then we should instead of you losing even more weight, we should create a challenge for you to put on, say, like let's put on like 4 pounds of muscle before the end of the year. 4 pounds by the end of the year? What? That's impossible. How could I even do that? That would be impossible. I would have to eat 1,000 steaks. How does that even work? You would eat. you wouldn't have to eat all 1,000 steaks in one day, though. I mean, maybe you could
Okay.
maybe you could spread them out over a week.
So you think if I just started like eating, because I'm still doing intermittent fasting. So you're saying like if I start eating like more protein every day and then start working out every day, you think I could gain 4 pounds?
I don't even think you'd have to work out every day. Have you ever have you lifted ever?
Yeah, I had a trainer once. At Equinox. It was the best thing ever. I got this great trainer. It was great. It was the most in shape I ever got in my life. It was incredible. I felt so good.
Okay, 4 pounds might be stretching it, but by the end of the year, we might be able to do 2, maybe 3 if your body.
2.
Yeah.
Let's keep it realistic, and then we can go for 4 next year. 2.
Dude, we're talking. That's £1 pound a month, Duncan. Like if you haven't lifted in a while, your body. I'm thinking that your body might actually respond well to it and be like, oh, I remember this.
Look, you're inspiring me. I'm gonna go for it, man.
All right.
I want it. I want to do that. Thank you.
Well, I'll check back in with you before the end of the year for real. I'll be like, all right. Where are we on this progress?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. Love it. This is so fun. You guys have a great show, man. You're
thanks,
so
bro.
fun.
Appreciate
Y'all
it.
are so fun to talk to, man.
Man, you know what? The crazy thing is, I'll say this. I'm gonna let him go here in a second. But I was talking to Cody. I'm like, man, I have no clue I'm like, I don't even know what to talk to him about because there's so many different things that I would want to talk to you about. Like I was like, literally, like typically I have a guest on and they're it's like my specialty is building neural pathways, right? And I'm like, okay, so I know exactly what I'm going to talk to them about. I was like, this conversation could go 1,000 different directions, and so yeah, it's been awesome. Cool. Well, Duncan, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. This was a great conversation, and
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
had a really good time. So I will check back in with you before the end of the year. So
where do you live?
I'm in Cincinnati, man.
Well, if you ever get out to Austin, let's get dinner or something.
For sure, man. Cool. Yeah, I've never actually been to Austin, so you're giving me an excuse to get there. Cool, man. Awesome, well, listen, Duncan, I'll let you get going. We know you got stuff to do. So thanks, man. Really appreciate you coming on today, man. Had a blast chatting with you.
A blast.
Awesome.
Really fun, man. Thanks, you guys.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care,
Cheers.
brother.
Quite Franklin is providing this podcast as a public service, but it is neither a legal interpretation nor legal advice, nor a statement of Quite Franklin policy. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of that product or entity by Rich Franklin or Quite Franklin. The views expressed by guests on the podcast are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by Quite Franklin employees or representatives are the views and opinions of the persons expressing them, and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Quite Franklin or any of its officials or principals. Nothing heard on this podcast at any time is medical advice or is intended as medical advice. The listener must always consult his or her personal physician or other qualified medical professional regarding any questions of a medical nature. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact our general counsel.